things people talk about in desire to be successful. All of the elements.
Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. Hope everybody is getting your week off to a great start, having an unbelievable day. Now, in this description box and post box, every time that you see a video, there's going to be offers. There's going to be offers to set up your own revenue streams. There'll be offers to work with me directly. There'll be offers to help you write your own book. Whatever it is that I have expertise in, that I get paid to do, I'm going to give you an opportunity to take advantage of it. So again, go to the description box, see what's in there, and take action. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick. Hope everybody's having a great start to your week. Look, I'm going to jump right in. It's Monday. And when I created these theme days, I created them for the purpose of inspiring, educating, and empowering people to do things that they have not done, things that they desire to do, but haven't been able to do. See, a lot of people will tell you, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, but never really tell you how to do it. I want to give you the insight. I want to give you the inspiration. I want to give you the encouragement. I want to give you the power to step into things. So we talk about money issues because money issues are real problems to so many people. And so I want to empower people. I want people to understand that there's no such thing as poverty being a lot in life. You weren't designed, you weren't born to be poor. You may have been born into poverty, but you were not designed to be poor. So then what do we do in an instance like that? Well, we have to take action. We have to see what we want in our lives, and we have to determine the path to get what we want. Everybody travels a path. Most people, unfortunately, are traveling a path that they didn't set for them lives. Somebody else said it. Somebody else told them it was their path. Someone else said this is what everybody else is doing. So we jump into the group. Everybody's in the box. Everybody's traveling the same direction, and everybody's getting pretty much the same results. So then what is actually subpar becomes the norm. Why? Because everybody's doing it. Nobody realizes that there's something better. And by the time that everybody realizes that there's actually a whole lot better out there, they also have been convinced by this consistent low standard that they've been operating on, this low frequency they've been operating on, this low mindset, this thinking that has brought them into it. They've been convinced that that's their lot. They've been convinced that while other things are possible, it's not for me. In order to do that, you've got to be. In order to do that, you have to come from. In order to do that, you have to do X, Y, Z. So then in essence, what happens is you've got a bunch of people operating at a frequency, at a standard, at a level of behavior, thoughts, thinking, and habits that don't serve their interests. So when I created this, that's what I was trying to do. So when I created Money Monday, it was with Wealth Building Wednesday in mind. Money Monday is about generating revenue. Well, Wealth Building Wednesday is about what you do with the money when you get it. How do you create longevity and power and strength in your lineage, in your line, so that your progeny do not start where you started. You don't want to leave your children with the same challenges you were born into. You don't want to leave them with the need to get $100,000 loan to advance their education if that's what they desire to do. You don't need them to go out and take a high interest loan to try to start a business if they can even get a loan. You want to be able to say, okay, I had to go through this to get to this. So I'm going to lay a path, and that's called generational wealth. So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. But in order to do that, you've got to be able to say, okay, how do I get the money to invest? And we're going to talk about myths. One of the myths I want to blow up right away is you got to have a lot of money to start investing. No, you can start investing for as little as $10. For as little as $10, and in some places I've heard as little as $1. But the places I know about, at least from anywhere from $5 to $10, you can buy a piece of a company that is profitable. It's public trading. They sell their shares. You're taking ownership. It's not completely yours. You don't have any say so in the company, but you're owning something. The one thing you're going to have to do is own way more assets than you have in debt, because your debt is the number one enemy to your wealth. Your debt is the number one enemy to your net worth. So the basics of net worth is I take everything that I have that's worth something, that is of value. When people are classified as millionaires, 90% of the millionaires in this world don't have $1 million in cash in the bank. They have $1 million net worth. That means they have a value of over $1 million. That means that in stocks, in property, in precious metals, and artwork, and everything else that can be used as collateral and insured, which tells you have an asset. If it can't be used as collateral and insured, it's not really an asset. It just may be something you have. It may not be a liability either, but it probably was at some point if you paid for it and it doesn't have value. You spent money on something that didn't have value or depreciated in value. And we'll get more on that on Wednesday. But what we have to do is say, okay, I don't have to start with $1,000 before I can invest, $5,000 before I can invest. I've got to have this before I can start a company. There's so many different things that people are going out there and believing. And because they believe it, they never take action. They never look into it. It is absolutely ridiculous for you to have the internet, to have Google. And no, you can't trust everything on the internet, but what I can tell you is almost everything is on the internet. So then what do? You have to set a path to discovery. You have to make up in your mind that you're going to go out and you're going to find what works and what doesn't. And you're going to have some trial and error. I've done it. I've had some things where I got out there and I just knew it was going to work and it didn't. But what it taught me was this doesn't work. And what it taught me was how to recognize the language of people who are actually knowing what they're talking about, how to recognize the mannerisms, how to recognize the people who actually know what they're talking about versus the people who are just spewing stuff and trying to get attention, trying to get paid, and to glean from that. And that was from everything from building my companies to building a presence on the internet. I had a client referred to me a little over a week. It was a week ago, last Monday. They had been working on their insurance site. A friend of mine, shout out to Malik's Fragrances. Malik, hey, you need to check out my dude, Rick. Rick could take care of you. What they needed a website done, and they needed it done fast. And because Malik referred them, I gave him a great look and I set them up and I got them done professionally. And the thing is, I'm not a web designer. I'm a person who had to build my websites in order to get my business going. And so I trained myself. And actually, it's not something that I would normally do. It's something that when people come to me to get it done, I pass it down to teams who actually do that stuff. But because I was giving such a huge break to them and they were really trying to get off and they were frustrated. And the last thing I want to see is someone trying to break off into the business world, having taken so many hits from people taking advantage of them that they give up and then back off and don't even try. So I took the hit. But what I did is, what I'm saying is, it started from me learning how to do that years ago. It's not even something that I do normally, but I just wanted to help a friend out, help a friend of a friend out. But the thing is, it doesn't take a lot to get out there. What it takes is a mindset to say, I'm not going to stay where I'm at. So the thing I want to talk about is multiple streams of income. You've heard me say this, I don't know how many times, that if you don't have at least 2 independent streams of income that you control, you need to find a way to generate that revenue. Why? I don't care how good your job is. You don't own it. Someone else does. Someone else is making the decisions that are going to determine how that company performs. Even if they love you to death, if they set up and they make the wrong decision and that company goes under, what do? You've got to go out and find another job. Well, also, there's this thing that we're going to talk about on Wednesdays that's called wealth. You don't pass your job down. You can't give your job to your child when you retire. No, that job's going to be passed to the next person in line, and all that came with it, except for what you were able to make and keep, and what comes out of your 401k or what any other type of pension plan you may have or whatever. But as far as the revenue, whether it's 6 figures, 7 figures, it doesn't matter, because it's not going to your kids. And if you're doing a job you love doing and they're paying you good paper to sit up and do that job, and you love doing it, do what you do. This isn't a diss on jobs. This is a cry out to understand you need to leverage your income. Now, because if I leverage my income and I lose my job, I have something I can lean on. And if I have supplemental flows coming in, I'm not left with nothing. So I have something to go on. And then I can always take the energy that I was investing in my job, or even if you've got a great company and it's doing good, you still need to leverage that income. Why? Because if that business go down, what will you do? It doesn't mean you throw all your eggs in a whole bunch of different baskets and try to manage it all. It means you need to find ways to create passive income or semi-passive income. And the internet allows you to do that. The internet allows you to sit up and create streams of income through, even if you don't have a service or a product that you can offer. The thing is, most of you don't even realize this. Most of you don't realize, say, man, I don't know what I would do if I were to enter the business world. I don't know what I would do. The fact is, if you spent years on a job and they've paid you and they kept you on that job for years, there's something you know that's valuable to them. There's something you provide that's of value to them. And I can almost guarantee you that you are being paid a fraction of what you're worth to them. That's the game. That's the way the game is played. You're never going to be paid by someone who hires you as an employee what you're worth to the industry you're operating in. It doesn't make business sense. So what they do is they convince you of a baseline idea of what's acceptable at your job level, at this, and they get you, and that you buy, man, you know, a G what, a T11 or whatever, however they classify the different levels of employment at your corporation. And they tell you, well, you're a T2 right now, so the range is between this, and we're going to give you the top of the range. And so you think that you're actually getting paid what you're worth. And the truth of the matter is you're getting paid a fraction of what you could probably generate in your own space doing it yourself. But at the very least, if you've spent that type of time working for a job, then it stands to reason that you probably have enough expertise. If you've spent more than 10,000 hours, let's put it that way, on your job, you're an expert at what you do. If you've spent 10,000 hours doing what you do the math, see how long it takes you. But if you spent 10,000 hours doing that, you are literally an expert, not knowledgeable, an expert. That's if you look at the top performers in the world, musicians, classical musicians, vocalists, businessmen, programmers, all of the people who are at the top of their game have reached that by putting in roughly around, we've come pretty close to saying 10,000 hours. If you've done it for 10,000 hours, you're an expert at it. Well, if you're an expert at it, then you can be a consultant, meaning that you can literally be contracted on to customers, businesses, consultants to individuals, consultants, and whatever it is to help them make decisions. You're not the project manager. You're not the person who's going to be doing it. You're simply a consultant. You're going to come in and say, hey, if I were you, I would do it this way. And a great deal of what I do outside of the scope of psychology is consulting. And if you've done it and you're aware of it, you've done well at it, even if you've done bad at times, you know what not to do. And so now you can develop an understanding of what to do, and you can put yourself into the market. But even if you don't want to go into the market yet on your own, there's so many things that you can do online that you don't have to have a service to offer or a product to offer. You can promote other people's businesses. You can get on, you can talk about things you love. You can create spaces, environments to share things about your life that may empower people and monetize it. Almost everything that people find interesting and be monetized. I teach this in my courses, the 7-day business launch. I set people up to actually, I literally set businesses up, you know, for the people who can afford to pay to have their business set up. My company will literally set you up, get you started, run all of the operations until it reaches profit. That, you know, so it's out there. It's out there. And the question, you know, people say, well, how do you know, how do we know? Look at your news feed or your streams on whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter. Just look at it and look at everything that pops on your page that says sponsored. That's somebody that has put an ad out to put themselves in front of you. Some people are doing great. Some people are doing okay. Some people are trying to get it going. But what I can tell you is those are people who have made up in their mind that they're going to make money online. If you've ever attended a webinar, if you've ever gone to something and said something, you know, what kills me is when I have a client and they're talking about, okay, they came to me because they got something going on a personal level and they're trying to reach a level. So it's about performance, it's about behavior, it's about habits. But they in the course of going through it, they're like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business, and and you think, and I'm like, man, you can do anything you want to online if you're committed enough to it to follow through. Do you think it'll really work? I'm like, dude, you're sitting in front of me. How did you get here? How did you get in front of me? How are you working with me right now? You heard about me online. Nobody referred you. You found me online. And that is how it works. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Is it easy? No. It requires work. It requires commitment. It requires a level of audacity and dare, because in order to have things that are above and beyond what everybody else has requires risk. If you're going to have something that everybody else doesn't have, you got to be willing to do things everybody else won't do. And the thing is, a lot of people balk on that. A lot of people sit up and say, hey, look, I want it, but I don't know if I want to go. Well, you don't have to go out there and risk it. You can stay in this corner of comfort and play it safe. And for a long time, and for most of the time, you're going to do it. But I'm going to tell you something, even in that corner of comfort, you cannot escape life. You cannot escape life. Pain is going to find you. Loss is going to find you. Disruption is going to find you. No matter how much you hide, you're going to experience these things. I'm on the train of thought mentality that if I'm going to go through something, I want something for it. And if I'm going through something, I'm going to choose how I'm going to enter the fight. I'm going to go after something. And when I start something, I know it comes with challenges. So when I face the challenges, I'm not shaken by them. I'm not pushed back by them. I'm not caught off guard by them. I knew they were coming. I prepare myself, and I'm sitting up and I'm saying, this is what you have to do. People talk about, is it skill? You know, people will tell me all the time, well, Doc is you. Well, I wasn't Doc at one point. I didn't have degrees at one point. There was a point I hadn't started multiple companies. There was a point I was just a young Black kid from the hood that said, this is not my life. I'm not going to accept it. And I decided to take steps. And every step led to another, led a little bit closer to something. I chose a direction. And in that direction, I said, I'm going to have something. When I had to rebuild 12, 13 years ago, I decided online is where I'm going. I'm not doing no more brick and mortar. I'm not doing a whole lot of face-to-face. When I go face-to-face, it's going to be on stage. I'm not doing a whole lot. I'm going to do everything online. I'm going to find out. And what I found is there's no limitations to what I can do online. It allows me to automate so much of what I do that I can sit up and start something, set it up, prepare it, and do it right. I can set up a site on something that I want to promote, something that I want to share, something that I want to monetize. I can make sure the SEO is right, search engine optimization. I can make sure that it's easy for Google to crawl and rank. I can make sure that it has the right long tail keywords. I can make sure that it has the right appeal for in aesthetics for the clientele and the target audience that I'm trying to reach. Then I know where to plant my links and all of this other stuff that comes along with it. It comes from sitting up and saying, I'm going to be this, and saying, this is who I am now. This is who I'm going to be. Where do I start? And I take one step at a time. It's every now and then I get a quantum leap where it just seems like I go from here to here in overnight. But most of success is step by step, consistent moving toward a worthy goal. You got to learn how to celebrate. I made myself 20 something years ago. I made myself a promise that I would never go to sleep the same man that woke up that day. And then I said, how can I guarantee that that happens? Learn something every day, Rick. Read something you haven't read, watch a video you haven't read, pick up a book you haven't read, reread a book you've read, but look for the things you missed. If you do this consistently, you will grow. If you grow, you will evolve. If you evolve, you will become. If you become, you get what you have become. And that's what you don't get in this world what you want. You get what you are. So you have to become the person capable of doing what you want. So if you want to build a business, you got to say, what is it that's lacking right now that I need to develop? You can't become all frenetic and unglued because something is missing or you don't have something or you go get it. At a time when all you have to do is type in words and multiple options and information is put right in front of you. You're walking with something in your pocket or your purse that will open up gates for you if you start to use it correctly. It wasn't meant to sit up and gossip and bicker and debate on social media. It was meant to make the right connections. It was meant to share the right information. It was meant to consume the right information to advance yourself. You make it what it is by how you use it. The myth that you have to have a lot to know. I've shown people how to get started and create an entire space for under $100. Now, obviously, in most instances, they paid me, but still under $500. The 7-day online business course is less than $400, and it shows you how to put an entire business together. And it gives you email access to me to answer the questions that you may have along the way. And you telling me you can't get a business up and going. Absolutely ridiculous. What it is you're buying into the idea that certain people have. I listen to a lot of people talk. And all you got to do is bring up wealthy. And people will start coming up with reasons why it's not that big of a deal. It's probably not something I want to do. Most people who have money are evil. Most people who have money cheated for it. Most people who have money work their ass off for it. Are there some dirty, low down people out there? Are there some people who use their wealth as a means of power to corrupt and manipulate and control? Absolutely. Evil is in every place. There's some evil ass poor people. They just don't have the means to execute their hatred. So, but there are a bunch of good people out there doing a bunch of good things, and they started and they worked their butt off. But see, if I sit up and say that the way that you get money is evil, it gives me an excuse not to pursue it. It gives me a reason not to go after it and set it up. Let me tell you something. Then I will be done here. Life is about stewardship. Whether you are a Christian, whether you are a practicer of Islam, whether you're a Buddhist, a Hinduist, whether you are a spiritualist, life is about stewardship. It's about what you do with what you've been given. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, of whom much is given, much is required. But see, but there's also a scripture that says that the ones who were given talents, it says that, you have been faithful over a few things, so I will make you a rule over many. What is it saying? It's saying that if you take the things that you have and you properly manage them, they multiply. If you properly nurture it, it grows. Your family, your marriage, your business, your money is all part of a responsibility called stewardship. What are you going to do with what you've been given? The problem is most people are mismanaging what they're given and expecting more. We live in a world of entitlement. Everybody thinks that somebody owes them something. No, you got to take what you've been given and do something with it. You got to take the little and make it mean something to you. The more you value the little you have, the more you show God, the world, life, the universe, that you deserve to have an opportunity to manage more. But you've got to be willing to create something that leverages what you have to protect it. It allows you to make better decisions. When I have a situation where my primary income is hedged, it's hedged and protected by other streams of income, then I'm less likely to make decisions about it that are detrimental to me and to others. It's less likely that I make immoral decisions about something that may cost me money in my mainstream when I know I'm protected. It protects my character, my integrity. It protects my life. It gives me a better balance. It gives me more confidence. I move more fluently. There's so much to this outside just money that we don't understand. But what I want to leave you with is it's up to you. It is up to you. As it said in the intro, there are links in the description box that offer opportunities. Find one that works for you. Make it happen. But whatever you do, you can't sit around thinking that life is just going to present you with things that you haven't taken action and moved towards. Process always precedes promise, always. You're never going to get the prize without the process. I'm sorry. You're going to have to go through some things. You're going to have to do some things. You're going to have to show commitment. You're going to have to be committed to go the long term. It's about going the distance. What are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? That's going to determine what you get in this life, period. On that note, look, I'm out of here. I thank you guys for stopping in and spending time with me. I thank you. But what I want you to do more than anything is start applying the principles of success to life in money and relationships. It doesn't mean that you're going to get everything right. Doesn't mean that nothing's going to go wrong. I'm a prime example of that. I've had my ups and downs. This year has been mad crazy, but it's also been one of the most empowering and growth infused years of my life. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm better for it. And I'm excited about the future. But you've got to have that mindset that I'm not going to stay the same. I challenge you. Do it and you will never, ever be broke. On that note, I'm out here. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I challenge you to do the same thing. I'm out.